guys, this is Jen again from liveafastlife.com, and this is part number 3 in my decluttering video series. And I apologize that this third part is a couple days late. Merry belated Christmas to everybody. And you know how that season goes. It was just busy, and I was on the road for a little bit. So I apologize for this one being a couple days late, but I'm thinking that most of you were probably so busy that you probably wouldn't have had time to watch it anyway. So this is the last part of the decluttering video series, and what I want to talk about today is what to do with the stuff that you're getting rid of. So now you're probably thinking, well, I was just going to go to Goodwill and drop it all off. That's kind of like our first instinct, to just do something like that. Now that's totally a good option, and you can take stuff to Goodwill. You can take stuff to Salvation Army, to the Habitat for Humanity stores, which are called Restore. Those are always great options. So don't think that you can't do that. That's still a great option. I just want to give you some other options and some other ideas of what you can do with your stuff, especially if that is why you're holding back. Some people, especially if they have things that mean a lot to them or things that they think are collectible, they get turned off by the idea of just dropping it off at Goodwill. So I want you to know that there are other things that you can do with your stuff, okay? So first of all, let's talk about those things I just mentioned. If you have things that are collectible or things that you really believe are worth money and you don't just want to give them away, eBay is a great way to get rid of these things. So when I downsized and I decluttered, I had a lot of things that I inherited from my father. And my father was a collector. He had lots of antiques. He had lots of collectible items. I had things from my childhood. I had pound puppies, the little stuffed animals. I had Cabbage Patch Kid dolls. I had some New Kids on the Block cards, which I may or may not have kept for myself. But I had things that I knew were worth money, and I was like, I'm not going to just give these things away. So this will require obviously a little bit more time and a little bit more effort on your part. But the point is that you will be making some of your money back. So that's the incentive. So all you have to do, obviously, I'm sure you all know how to use eBay, is just make a listing that actually addresses the fact that these items are collectible. So I also had to do sort of an extra step where I didn't know what some of these things were worth. My father had like a collectible bus, like a little porcelain bus that was Cal Ripken Jr. from the Baltimore Orioles. He also had some stamps that were collectible, and I have no idea about stamps or about baseball collectibles. So you may want to do a little bit of research ahead of time. Just do a search on that item on eBay and see what other people are selling it for, and then price yours accordingly. So I was able to actually get rid of pretty much everything that I wanted to get rid of that was collectible, and I was able to make some money back, which made me feel better about getting rid of it. But also, like I mentioned before, if these were things that have meaning or things that really were important to you or to someone else, like in my case, they were important to my father, I didn't want to just drop them off at Goodwill. So it made me also feel better knowing that they were going to collectors, they were going to people that really were going to appreciate the value of these items. So definitely keep that in mind. Of course, CRAIGSLIST is another great option for furniture. So if you are like doing super duper downsizing like I did, and you have a lot of furniture to get rid of, CRAIGSLIST, even though, you know, there's always going to be some good and some bad on CRAIGSLIST, but is a great way to get rid of your furniture and again, make some of that money back. Now, speaking of money, a huge thing that you can get money back from that is just sitting around your house causing clutter is your books, your videos, your movies, your DVDs, your CDs, your video games. Everybody has this clutter sitting around. And even for those of you that say, well, I love my books, I love my videos, I love my video games, can't get rid of anything, I guarantee you if you sit down and go through them, there's probably going to be some you can get rid of. So instead of just dropping these things off at Goodwill, take the time to find a used bookstore in your area. Every city's got them. Here in Charlotte, we have one called The Last Word, and I believe there's actually a few other ones, but that's the one that I usually go to. And you just take all of your stuff, you go in, you drop it off, you give them your name, I think they check your driver's license, they get your phone number, and then you go do your errands, whatever else you have to do that day. They look at your books, they look at your videos, they determine if they want to use them, if they want to take them, and that can be based on just how popular the items are, what the condition of the items are, And then when you come back in, they call you when it's ready. When you come back in, they give you cash. It's a great way to get a little bit of pocket money, get some of your money back, and get rid of your clutter. And a lot of these places will actually give you either a combination of cash and store credit, or they give you the option to take one or the other. So I usually will do either just cash, or sometimes I'll do the cash and store credit option. And then you can use that store credit in the future to buy gifts for people. So if you're a minimalist and you're trying to declutter, you obviously don't want to use that credit to then just buy new books and buy new video games, but you can still take advantage of that and actually save some money by using it to buy gifts for people in the future. And you can buy, you know, baby shower gifts, bridal shower gifts, birthday gifts, Christmas gifts. There's all kinds of stuff that you can buy in these stores. So again, take that extra step, take that little bit of extra effort to pack up those books and movies and DVDs and video games and take them to one of these stores and see what kind of money you can get back. And then whatever they don't want, you can still at that point go ahead and take that to Goodwill. Another thing that you can do with those types of items, though, your books and your movies, is you can always look for other places in your community that maybe you can donate them. So these are things that you might not think of right off the bat, but places like schools or daycare centers, churches, a lot of churches have daycare centers. Maybe even your library accepts donated books and movies. But, you know, particularly the children's books and the children's movies, like I said, can be used in a lot of these daycares, libraries, churches, and you might not think of that right away, but that is a great way that you can give these items away and have them be used by people that really need them, as opposed to maybe them just sitting and getting dusty on a shelf of a Goodwill store. So again, think outside the box and, you know, think of some other ways that you can get rid of some of these items. Now, the next big thing is clothes. So again, your first temptation is probably just throw them all in the car, get rid of them. And I did do that in the past. When I did my big downsizing and decluttering for my tiny house, I actually did it quite differently. So we had an organization that was for abused women and children, and it was for a shelter that's in the area. And they actually did a drive where they came through our neighborhood and they picked stuff up at the curb. So that made my life really easy because I was able to just pack up a bunch of clothes and shoes and purses and tote bags and just put them all at the curb, and they just came and picked them up. I don't know if you have something like that in your community or not, but it's definitely worth looking into. If not, you can always just take them to the shelter. You can give to homeless shelters, like I said, domestic abuse shelters. And then there's also a great organization that I love to support called Dress for Success. And they have branches all over the country. And that organization actually focuses on helping women that are getting back on their feet. So it could be from a domestic violence situation. It could be from drug addiction. It could be from prison time, you know, anything that these women are really trying to get back on their feet from. And what Dress for Success does is they will actually provide them with business attire, you know, suits, blouses, pants, even purses, briefcases, shoes, pantyhose, anything that they would need to go to a job interview and look professional. They also will get them prepared. They'll help them with their resume. They'll give them some skills training, some prep for the interview. It's a great, great organization. So when I got rid of all of my business clothes, which was something that I talked about in the previous video, when I decided, you know, I'm not going to have a business attire type job anymore, and decided to get rid of all those things, I took them straight to Dress for Success because it really made me feel good to know that even though I wasn't making money back or anything like that on these, I knew that these items were going to go to people that really could use them. They hopefully might be what they're wearing when they get a job and get back on their feet. And that's amazing to me. And that would just be, you know, so much better than it just kind of maybe sitting at a consignment store, at a Goodwill store, and not knowing if it's going to go anywhere. So if you have any business type clothes, you know, definitely check them out. Now, another thing that I just mentioned was a consignment store. So consignment stores are also a great way to get some of your money back on your clothes. So they can be very particular sometimes about what they want. They usually are only working within like the current season. So they won't usually take anything that's outside of that season. They obviously look at the condition that the clothes are in. They also look at how old the clothes are, which was kind of interesting to me because I didn't know that there's something on the tags of your clothes that lets them know how old it is. But it's still worth a try to take some of your items there. And if you don't know how a consignment store works, they will price your items at a certain price, put it out on the floor. When it sells, they get a portion of it and you get a portion of it. So I want to say it's usually like, I think they get like 75%, you get like 25%, something around there. So it's not like you're going to make huge amounts of money, but any money is good money, right? It's something you didn't have 5 minutes ago. So I've done that with a lot of my nicer clothes that were still in good condition. You can do shoes, belts, jewelry. I've taken formal gowns. Formal gowns are another thing for us ladies that can kind of just get cluttered up in your closet. And you're like, why do I still have all these dresses? It's not like I go to a ball every day. So those are a great thing to take to consignment shops because there will be people that will be coming in for homecoming, for prom, for business galas, and things like that. And so they will be looking for nice gowns. And if you have gowns or formal dresses that you've only worn once or twice, it's a great way to make some of that money back. Now, of course, another thing that you can do is have a yard sale. That was kind of my last step that I did. I did the bookstore for my books and videos. I did Dress for Success and the consignment store and the homeless shelter and the women's shelter for my clothes. I sold furniture on Craigslist. I did collectibles on eBay. And then anything that was left after that was what I put out at the yard sale. Now, of course, you don't have to do it that way. You can do any combination of these things or just pick one, whatever works for you. But for me, I kind of like that I knew where a lot of that stuff was going first and that it was going to good places, that I was making a little bit of money back. And then I just put the rest out at the yard sale. Because, usually when you do a yard sale, you're pricing things 50 cents, $1, $2. So you're not going to make back a lot of money in a yard sale. But if you're doing a major downsizing like I did when I moved into my tiny house, I still made out pretty good on my yard sale and made several $100s. So that was a great way also to make back some of the money, and it requires a lot less effort. You of course do still have to, put everything out with the prices on it, but it's going to, again, make you some money back that you didn't have 5 minutes ago. Another thing that people don't necessarily think of is your unopened toiletries and beauty products and even vitamins or things like that. I don't know if most people are throwing them away or if, I'm not sure what they exactly do with them, but this is another area where you can actually kind of think a little bit outside the box and take these things to a shelter. So again, domestic abuse is a very personal issue to me, so I try to support that however I can. So again, there was a domestic abuse shelter here locally that I took a huge bag of toiletries that were like Bath and Body Works lotion and shower gel and stuff from Victoria's Secret and, just all kinds of things that I knew, well, these are perfectly good things. And I hadn't opened them and, maybe I had purchased them before I went non-toxic, or maybe I'd been given them as gifts, but they were just sitting around and I wasn't using them. So I knew these ladies would probably really appreciate this stuff. I also did that with a lot of my cleaning products. Again, if you follow my blog, you know that I am totally non-toxic with all my products. And I did go through all my cleaning stuff and realized I had a lot of stuff that was still useful and still good, but I just didn't feel comfortable personally using it in my home anymore. But I knew that for a place, like a shelter where they have a lot of people coming through and it's a high volume place, they could probably really use these extra cleaning supplies. So I took them up there as well, and they were very, very grateful to receive these things. Now, of course, you have to be a little careful with the vitamins. But again, if it's something that's real general, it's like a men's multivitamin or a women's multivitamin, and it's not expired and it's not opened, then I'm sure they would be very happy to receive those kind of things. Obviously, you don't want to try to give away anything that's already opened or anything that's expired. And of course, for things that are expired, you want to just toss those. But for your medicine, just on a side note, I talk about this more specifically in my course, but there are safe ways that you can dispose of your medicine. You can actually just put it into a certain kind of container, and you put like a filling in there. It's usually coffee grounds or cat litter or something like that. And then there are actually places where your local city or state government will set up collection sites for you to drop those things off. So again, I talk about that more specifically in my course, but that's just kind of a little idea you can keep in mind if you have some medications or things like that to get rid of, that you don't want to just throw those in the trash. And then the last thing I was going to mention was if you have any kind of random specialty items, if you have things like art supplies or music supplies, or maybe even things that you use to work on an automobile or something like that, again, try to think outside of the box to where these things could be put to use. So if you have, like I said, auto supplies, maybe you could donate these to the auto shop at the local high school. Or maybe you could donate the art supplies to an art program, an after-school art program, or even, you know, an art college or something like that that's in your area. You might not think that they would want these things, but you'd be surprised how much they could actually use these extra, you know, types of supplies for their programs. Same thing with musical instruments or things like that. You have to excuse the dogs in the background. But again, it's all about thinking outside of the box and making sure that you're not just dropping things off mindlessly when they could actually be used by other people. So that gives you kind of just some general ideas about what you can do with your items, and hopefully give you, again, kind of just options so you can figure out what works best for you and do a combination, pick one, pick two, whatever feels best for you. But just know that it doesn't have to be just load it up and drop it off at Goodwill. It can be, you know, your items can really go to good use and be used by other people that could really use them. So that is the last part of this series. And I did tell you in the introduction that this was all leading up to something. So I want you guys to keep an eye out on my Facebook page and keep an eye out for a challenge that I'm going to be doing with you guys in January. So it's a 30-day decluttering challenge. It'll be for the month of January, get us all off to a good start in 2017. And it's just going to really help you make some progress with this whole decluttering thing. So again, this series was kind of just to get you kind of motivated, get some ideas, some seeds planted in your head. And then in January, we're really going to take off and do this 30-day challenge together. So keep your eyes out on my Facebook page. If you're not already a fan of the page, please head on over to this address and like it. And then just keep an eye out on your feed. And as soon as the challenge is posted, go ahead and sign up. And I hope that we all can actually be a great support system for each other and really get you guys motivated that this can be something that you do. You don't have to put it off anymore. And I'm actually also going to talk to you guys a little bit more about why you should be doing it, and just kind of hopefully get you more motivated to just start living your life in a different way. So I look forward to it. I hope that you guys are too. I hope that we can make this a fun and exciting challenge for everybody and a great way to start off the new year. And I will talk to you guys then. Thanks. Bye.